So this is Jandals the cat. How you doing, buddy? I once owned a cafe and I wanted to rename the name of it from Snickerdoodle's Cafe to Jandals Cafe. Instead, I moved to this place and the resident cat is named Jandals. Sorry about that, must get that sorted sometime. Proper camera would do, wouldn't it? So look at these things, aren't they ridiculous? They make me feel like and look like a fake. But they went missing for 2 months. And they went missing because I was wearing them at my favourite South Taranaki secret surf spot, which you have to walk across paddocks for 10 to 15 minutes to get to. Got changed out of the howling gale beside a box thorn hedge, put these down on a sheet of corrugated iron, forgot about them, couldn't find them. They went missing for 2 months, searched the car, searched everywhere. It wasn't until I went back to my favourite surf secret break in South Taranaki that I found them again, sitting on the same piece of corrugated iron for 2 months, but they're not too bad for the wear. So this is a bit of a story about carrying on with the fake thing when I had to basically fake it and go a very long way to see quite a spectacular miracle. I'll just make sure that you're all sitting straight. You are. There you go. Make sure that I don't go over time. Not going to go over time. So I was once part of a Bethel mission team, and we'd done a session up in the far north. We were staying at the Ahipara Marae at the bottom of 90 Mile Beach in the far north. And this particular day we had to go and do our thing at the local Anglican church in Kaitaia. So a big, athletic, powerfully built Māori musician dude and I travelled in my car into Kaitaia from the marae. And I just assumed that Wakes knew where to go. I didn't know where to go, and all I knew that it was in Kaitaia. Said to Wakes, hey, where is the Anglican church in Kaitaia? He didn't know. Couldn't get hold of anybody on cell phones, so we just thought, oh well, just have to wing it, have to muck around trying to find directions, ask somebody when we get in there. Almost into Kaitaia, and suddenly the penny dropped. I realised that a very long time previously, a very, very long time ago, I had once been, in a previous life, an insurance assessor, and I was in charge of assessing this huge fire insurance claim that involved the old Anglican church. So I said to Wakes, I know where this place is. I've been there. So eventually we drove through Kaitaia up the hill to the Anglican church, which, if anybody knows, is perched up on top of a hill, sort of southeast suburbs of Kaitaia. And there it was, a brand spanking modern new Anglican church, which, well, wasn't brand spanking new, but it had replaced the old one that had burnt down. So in we rocked. The whole team gathered. That was the first part of the surprise of seeing this place again. It was a pretty special feeling. Whereas it had once just been a black hole in the ground, now was this beautiful modern Anglican church. Rocked up there, the Bethel team assembled at the front of the church. I was in the mode of prejudging this place. I thought, well, this is just going to be it. And I'm sorry to all Anglicans. I was once Catholic, so, you know, we're sort of tarred with the same brush. But I had prejudged that this would be a bit of a conservative, shall we say, Anglican service. So, I wasn't even sure why we were going to this particular church, really. Nobody had given us the memo. So we all sat at the front of the church, and the Anglican minister then proceeded to introduce us and then do his opening talk to the front of the church in tongue. So if you're not a Christian, you don't understand what this means, it might seem a little bit weird, hang in. you'll enjoy the story. But basically, tongue being a gift from the Holy Spirit, it's in the Bible. Book of Acts makes a big deal of it, of where Christians speak in a foreign language. It was this conservative, I thought, Anglican minister rattling off his introduction to the church in tongue. Afterwards, somebody in the church body then interpreted it. So that was the start, and made me realise that this was not going to be a normal Anglican service. We then lined up at the front of the church, and we were to give a word of encouragement, a prayer to somebody that we selected out of the church. We'd each take turns. We're all lined up across the front of the church. We'd each take a turn at either praying to the Holy Spirit to give us a word or a nudge to somebody to choose in the congregation, or somebody that we'd sort of pre-selected again by prayer. So everybody was doing their thing, and it could be a word of knowledge, a word of encouragement, or a prayer for healing, whatever. So everybody worked down the line, and it came to me, I think I was probably about second to last along the line, and I had no idea at all who I was to pray for. I didn't feel that I'd had a nudge from the Holy Spirit as to who it was. So I thought, well, basically, I'm just going to fake it. We had been told by our church leaders, Matt in particular, that if this happened, if we didn't have any prompting from the Holy Spirit that we felt like, then we could basically fake it, because out of intuition, it could still be from the Holy Spirit. And that's where I was at. So I thought, well, I'm just going to say that there's somebody here with a back problem. Pretty common thing to have. This was just basically a weasel's way out of the whole thing for me, was to say that somebody had a very common disability with their spine. And I thought that would let me off the hook. Whereupon Matt, who's sort of standing just a little bit over from me, turns around and hisses at me, which part of his back, or her back, it was, whatever. And I thought, oh, you beggar. So I said, okay, it's the lower left back. As soon as I said that, a woman's hand shot up in the middle of the congregation. Matt then said, so I just basically can't remember if I did a prayer then, but anyway, Matt said, the leader said, okay, when this is after the last person had given their prayer of encouragement, we were asked to go to the person that we'd selected and pray for them in person, I think was how it worked. It's a while back now. Which is what I did. Went over to the woman sitting beside her husband, whereupon he told me that he had had a miracle about a year earlier, pretty significant one. Can't remember the details, but and so here he was with his wife about a year later. So I prayed for this woman, and I said to her, how's the pain on a scale of 1 to 10? And she said that it had been 10. And I said, well, how is it now? She said, it's gone. I asked her to tell me about it, what she'd had. It was a spinal problem of some form. Can't recall the full details, but except that it was something that related to when she was an infant or from birth, something like that. And I would say this woman was in about her 50s, and she said that she'd had this basically 10 out of 10 pain in her back for most of her life, 50 odd years, and now it was gone. So there you go. Don't beat up on yourself if you're feeling like you're doubting or you're a fake. You never know how the Holy Spirit is going to work with you to deal with that. Hope you enjoyed that.